Matthew Stapley is in the house. Coming up next. Welcome back, everybody, to Edge of the Rabbit Hole. I'm author and researcher Mike Ricksecker. With me, as always, my co-host is Victoria Monday, and down in the chat room, Alina moderating the chat, our new chat moderator. Thank you again, Alina. We have a fantastic guest with us this evening, psychic medium Matthew Stapley. He's located in Ottawa, Canada. First found his gift at a young age, and since then has helped thousands of people worldwide with connecting to their loved ones and spirit guides. Matthew is the past host of 2 television series, which aired in Ottawa between 2012, 2013, and a popular media guest and public speaker who tries to help others shift their perspective on life's hardship through self-discovery, faith, self-love, and compassion. He also has a fantastic workshop coming up this weekend with our good friend Jonny Enoch called Psychic Awakenings. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Hi.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a great connection. We met through, like we already said, our good friend Jonny Enoch. And, I've been checking out your work and, saw a live stream that you did on Facebook the other day, which I thought was, absolutely fantastic. And your approach is very compassionate. And, I was like, man, this is a super sweet guy. So, I've noticed, in my years being in this field and doing this research, that each psychic medium is a little bit different. Their approach is a little different. So, tell us about yourself, Matthew.
Well, I like long walks on the beach. And just kidding. So, you are very right, Mike. Everybody's approach is different to like any job, but in this work as well, everyone's approach is different. And my approach is that I just want to bring things through that will help people, whether that's from their loved ones who passed or their spirit guides or angels or, their higher self, whatever I can do to help people. And when I'm working with people, my main focus is just to get them moving forward, whether it's by healing grief or bringing in information about the future or things that they can, do to let go of what's been holding them back. So yeah, I think we all go in with similar intentions, but maybe our delivery is a little bit different, and that varies from medium to medium or healer to healer or, baker to baker, really.
Oh, certainly. And, I just kind of reading up on you a little bit, you do a lot of, it seems like you do a lot of healing, and, that to me, again, people's approaches are a little bit different. So yeah, when you start a session with somebody and they're looking for, healing, how do you approach that from, the perspective of a psychic? Because that's is very personal to a person, when they're looking for something like that.
So my approach really is just streamlined with my intention, right? Which is to, the idea is that, spirit, the universe, divinity, they know what this person needs in order to move forward on their path. I don't know. Probably they don't know if they're coming to see me. So, that's really the focus. And what happens after that is so different from session to session, because some people really need to wrap up loose ends with somebody who's passed away. Some people need to understand their experiences. And sometimes it's really things like self-acceptance or bringing somebody into a place where they can see themselves in what I call the cosmic mirror, the great reflection, which is always very balanced and it's always healthy. And so walking through somebody through that, approaching the mirror, looking at themselves for who they are and allowing them to see themselves without the judgment they walked in my door with is sometimes very healing in itself. So, there's a whole bunch of tools that spirit will use to bring healing to people. And a lot of it, in my experience, is about accepting things, whether it be the past or themselves or their own fears of the future, their mortality, whatever it happens to be. And ultimately, while that's all happening, they're learning about how supported and guided and loved they are by the universe. And so, that's really what it looks like. And it's so individual that I can't even say that this is what usually happens, because it's different for everybody.
Right, exactly. Yeah, very, very different for everyone. But you also work a lot with spirit guides, from my understanding, and to me, trying to, because I'm a person who's always trying to dig deep and try to find out more about the universe. Where does spirit guides really come into play in this whole cosmic idea of the universe? How I'm always trying to figure out, okay, what's the hierarchy of, where do they fit in, because they're here, they're kind of, again, just the name spirit guides are trying to guide us a little bit. How do they fit into this grand scheme of everything?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, like, I guess an easy explanation would be that everybody in the world has at least two spirit guides, and it's common belief among different spiritual traditions that our guides were people that had walked on Earth at one time and have come back to guide individuals through their life journey. The other thing that's commonly accepted is that there's a soul agreement between the person that is to be guided and the guides that are guiding them. Now, there's also other schools of thought, like they're just aspects of our higher self. They're looking down on us from our sort of soul ascended self, or what have you. But I think the commonality among all these traditions really is that they are beings with superior knowledge and a bird's eye view who will help us to learn whatever we are meant to learn from the experiences that we choose to have on Earth. And that's probably the simplest definition that I could come up with in the moment for what a spirit guide is.
Do we all have
Gotcha.
our own individual spirit guides, or would like a collective soul family share a spirit guide, or many of them? Or
I think that's a really good question. I think we have our individual spirit guides personally. I think that there are things like angels and archangels as well that might guide an entire experience, whether it be familial or societal. We've had so many changes in the last year, for example. I'm sure
oh
there's
yeah,
some big players working at a higher vibrational level to guide us through this process of transformation that humanity has been experiencing in the last year. So yeah, I think it's yes, maybe to all of it, but I think that generally we each have individual guides for sure. That's something that I've observed.
oh cool. Did you ever have an aha moment where you just finally knew, oh, okay, well, this is my spirit guide, and I'm not just imagining all this? I mean, what
Yeah,
set you on this path?
well, that's kind of an interesting question. So I was doing this work way before I figured out about my spirit guides, to be honest. Like I've been doing readings professionally since I was 17. Um, my spirit guides showed up in my 20s, and it wasn't really an aha moment so much as like this realization that the person that's been helping me to help other people showed themselves to me, and um, it was honestly kind of not that eventful, if I'm being totally honest.
Oh,
I wish I had a big story for you, but I don't. Yeah,
next time.
next time. Yeah, I'll go and ask them to give me a cool experience for
There you
next
go.
time. For sure.
So let me ask you this. So, we talked a little bit about healing earlier on. We're talking about spirit guides now. When you're doing trying to work with somebody on healing,
Mm.
is there a point in which the spirit guides can actually come in and interact and maybe even help guide in that healing, or are these like two separate things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's exactly what they're doing the whole time. Like, do they come and take me over and I, talk in tongues? No, definitely not. But have there been moments where I felt the need just to hold space and anchor a healing vibration so that somebody's guides could come in and like mechanic them, into a better space? Absolutely, that's happened many times. I think, as mediums, like I believe that mediums are healers first and foremost, and the way that we heal is verbally. But even though we're giving a reading and that's verbal and it's auditory, there's still elements of energetic healing going directly from spirit to the person receiving the reading. At least that's always my intention, and I know that it's probably the intention of many mediums. But I think it's multidisciplinary approach for sure.
Gotcha. Let me also ask you this, because I like to get people's opinions on this.
Sure.
Edgar Casey seemed to be somebody who performed healings of very differently than so many other people.
You
What
did.
do you think he was actually tapping into there?
I think he was tapping into just a higher consciousness. If you look at the way that our universe is sort of structured, right? We're in the third dimensional space, third density. Then we have the fourth density, which is the astral plane, and fifth density, which is considered spirit. Honestly, I think the fifth dimension is more like in a movie where there's a prison visitation scene and there's like the wall of glass and the phones. That to me is more the fifth dimension. I think the higher up you go, the more oneness everything has, right? The higher you go, the less separation of consciousness there is. And I think that when you get up into those higher realms, the lesson that somebody must learn and the wisdom that comes from it and the experience they all become one. They all fit together. I think he was tapping into that realm of vibration because it's the only thing that could really create a spontaneous healing, where whatever the person is meant to learn from, whatever they need healing from, is integrated so immediately that it ends the need for illness or a pathology of some kind. I would say he must have been tapping into something pretty far up there. Definitely past prison block A, that is for sure.
Past prison.
So was he tapping into the Akashic Records maybe, or?
I mean, I think that's probably part of it. I don't know that he would have been consciously doing it because in his work, there wasn't a lot of like life lesson stuff, at least in what I've read. I could be wrong about that. I think the Akashic Records is sort of an adjacent to those higher realms, right? I actually would say the Akashic Records would probably, honestly, in some level, be almost a little bit closer to the third dimension because it contains things at a very separate experiential level. And the higher up we go, the less of that there is. We become more one with divinity and source or God or whatever you choose to call it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would say I'm sure that was part of it. Was he conscious of it? I'm honestly not sure.
In your work, do you tap into the Akashic Records yourself?
I hate reading, Mike. I feel like I'd be in there all day. No, I mean, I personally, for me, I don't think so. I think that maybe the spirit guides are doing that. I think that they are. I do know that there are people who can read the Akashic Records. I think it's super cool. And it's never been something that I felt like really venturing into because I never needed to. I've always felt like whatever is meant to be known in the moment will show up.
Yeah, see, and that's something I find so fascinating is that everybody's a little different. Where, like you were saying, there are people who do tap into the Akashic Records, and you're perfectly fine without having to do that. So to me, that's fascinating.
Well, I feel like why would I go and read every book in the library when there's an amazing librarian who I can be like, I need this information, and then they go and get it. I mean, maybe it's lazy, but I think that part of it for me is also just trusting that whatever is supposed to come through is going to come through. And I feel like if I start trying to find information intentionally, then I might not be doing the best service to that client or that person that I'm trying to help. Because if I'm projecting what I think they need to look at in their Akashic Records, might not be that useful for them. That may be what I think they need, but not what they actually need.
Gotcha, that makes sense. So tell us about Psychic Awakenings, this event that you have going on with Jonny Enoch this weekend.
I am so excited about it. Me and Jonny have known each other forever. It's going to be good. I think it's going to be a cool combination of both of our knowledge bases. I'm very skilled. I'm very skilled. That sounded way more full of myself than what I meant it to. I have experience with training people in developing their psychic ability, mediumship abilities, and healing abilities and things like that. Jonny is phenomenal with his knowledge base on pretty much everything. I don't think I've ever heard him talk about anything that he didn't know all of it. So, as much as a person could know. So I think it's going to be very cool. Bringing together of our individual skills. So there's going to be elements of this that are very theoretical, and he's going to be talking about consciousness and quantum physics and things like that, and sacred sites and the way the energy moves through the world. I'm going to be focusing on taking some of that information and making it sort of actionable to people so that they can have experiences based on that theory. And so they're going to learn how to open up, how to sense their energy, how to sense the energy of the world around them. And I'm also going to make sure that there's parts in that for empathic or energetically sensitive people, because I know that right now in the last year, they're freaking out. So, I think it'll be good for them to learn how to disconnect a little bit from some of that intensity. So it's going to be a very well-rounded workshop, I think.
Very cool. So are you a natural psychic, or have you like had some ability and then trained yourself, or got training somewhere, or has this run into your family, or?
So when I was 12, the CIA kidnapped me. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
So
no.
I'm joking. It's a natural ability. Yeah. I was born with it. My grandfather was mediumistic as well. One of my cousins can, perceive things. And for me, it sort of started just with a kind of a freak experience. That's the first one that I remember. That was an aha moment for
Okay.
sure. My family told me that it started way before that, but my first real memory of it was about 8 years old. And then as a teenager, I started to see colors around people. And then I started using tarot cards, and it just took right off.
They're the gateway,
Yeah. And then a car accident later, and I didn't even need the cards anymore. So
Oh, I was in a car accident too. That's fun. Yeah.
don't they suck? They're
Yeah.
1 out of 5 stars. I do not recommend it.
No, I went through the windshield. No, that was.
No. I'm glad you're still here, Victoria.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So you mentioned seeing color, so like auras, and this is something that actually my girlfriend Nicole Guillaume, who's also a psychic medium, and I were talking about the other day, where she does a lot of wonderful, amazing things, but auras is not really one of those. So can you tell us a little bit more about how seeing the colors and auras work? Again, how psychic mediums are different here.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you before we go one step further, my friend Tammy is the biggest fan of Nicole ever. Like ever. All of her
That's
stuff.
Awesome.
When I told her I had this interview, she's like, wait a second. He's with Nicole. I watch Nicole all the time. Oh my God, this is so exciting. And I was like, cool. So I just had to tell you that so that you could tell her how amazing she is.
That's awesome. She's in the chat. So there you go, Nicole.
Perfect. Yeah. Huge fan. All right. So with aura reading, so auras are just a diffusion of energy off the body. And it's interesting with the interpretation of color because everybody will see them slightly differently. And the best example I can give you is in a development class years ago, I was teaching people how to view or perceive that energy in a color-based way. And one person was sort of being the sitter, and they were letting people practice seeing their colors. And one person got up and said, oh my gosh, there's all this, black and brown around you, and that's anxiety and it's stress. And they were picking up where it was in their body and things like that. Well, somebody was late to the class. And when she came in, I said, would you like to try it? And I coached her a little bit in aura reading. And she said, oh my gosh, there's this pink in your shoulders and there's this pink around you and it's anxiety and it's stress. And so it was a really interesting example of how people will they will see different colors based on how they would interpret those colors. And so if we look at psychic information in general, all it is energy in the form of information. And it uses our reference points within ourselves in order to kind of create a picture of whatever the message is. And so everyone will see them differently. It's clairvoyant, so it's not like physically seeing them with your eyes. It's much more in the mind's eye. But people can get very specific about it. And it's one of my favorite things to teach people how to do, because you can even look through the various layers of somebody's energy field in the past, present, future, things in their physical body, their mental body, their emotional body. It can get pretty in depth. It's pretty neat.
Wow.
Well, that's really interesting. So if you're able to see, the past a bit there with the different colors, that's interesting because I didn't know that one before. Yeah. Okay, there's an idea out there that there are genetic markers, DNA sequences that are passed down from generation to generation, and that we may actually, within us have, like some of our parents or grandparents' memories and things like that. Would you be able to pick up something like that with the aura reading?
Oh, I think you totally could. Absolutely. I mean, really, it's when it comes to any kind of psychic work, whether it's what we were talking about earlier with the Akashic Records, or whether it's things like auras or ancestral healing stuff like what you're mentioning, it's really about knowing how to put on a different pair of glasses or a different lens to look at the aura through. So if I wanted to look at somebody's ancestral ancestral records, for lack of a better word, or their ancestral trauma, even if you want to call it that, I would be putting on a different pair of glasses than if I want to look at, what's wrong in their abdomen, to help them figure out what a doctor hasn't been able to help them with. And so, yeah, it's really just about our focus, and it's about kind of uploading into our brain the reference framework that we need in order to see it. And that's something that you learn in development, or just by practicing. For me, it came naturally, but I know that you can learn it. So yeah, it's just about putting on different kinds of glasses, really, and knowing how to adjust your vibration into those different realms of consciousness.
But by changing your vibration, that changes your aura too, right? So like if you walk into a room and you're really pissed, you could be all dark and gray, and then see a butterfly and like, oh yay, I'm yellow or whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Auras change. Like I've seen auras change in the first few minutes of somebody sitting in front of me. I've seen auras change over long periods of time. And what I've identified in the aura is areas of consistency, of constants. For example, somebody's life purpose, when that's, visible in their aura, it does not change. The other things that will change will be often closer to them. So if they're going through an emotional experience, I might see colors coming off of their heart that I would interpret. Depending on where over the heart it is and how translucent or solid or murky or clear it is, it will also tell me different things about that experience, whether it's something that they actually had happen a long time ago that they haven't let go of, or whether it's something that is, fresh that afternoon. Yeah, it can get very in-depth, and it's always changing.
Okay, so how would an aura tell you what the life purpose is?
So it shows up, right? Because the aura is a diffusion of energy off the body, and
right.
our body and our mind and our heart and our spirit and our soul and all of that stuff, our life purpose is encoded into all of that. Because at the end of the day, Spirit has always told me people's life purpose is energetic. It doesn't matter if they work at McDonald's or they're president of the universe, doesn't matter. Their life purpose is energetic. And so whatever they choose to do with their life path, their energy diffuses their purpose in a sense, and so yes, it would be showing up in the aura because it's so intrinsic in who we are as people.
But would like an aura of a doctor be different from an aura of a dog catcher? I mean, are they different colors, or they show up in different places, or
possibly? Let's give an example. We'll work with your example. So if the doctor is truly a healer by purpose, and the dog catcher is also a healer by purpose, there would be similarities in their auric fields for sure. Now, if the doctor, who's supposed to be a healer, if their purpose was more to be like a mirror or somebody who shows people what they need to shift within themselves, so it's still healing but in a different way, and the dog catcher did not have that as part of their purpose, then they would show up as different auras, different purposes in their aura. Yeah. Yeah, it's neat, eh?
I've never heard of that, but that's really cool. I mean,
So we have a number of questions coming in from the chat room that are pertinent to this topic. So I do want to get to a couple
let's
of
do
these.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is from Sarah Youssef. If people have their own interpretations of color, where does that place shadow people?
Ooh, I like this. Okay, so
it's a good question.
Throw me the definition of shadow people that you would like me to work with, because I know that Mike has an extensive book on shadow people, but I also know that there's different definitions of shadow people. So
yeah, and that in itself is a Victoria's holding up the book. That
Still
itself is
reading
a great question. Are you? Well, yeah, that you told me that before the show. Yeah, shadow people in and of themselves. I mean, there's a lot of different varieties of shadow people. So, a lot of them are human spirits that can't fully manifest as an apparition, only come off as a shadow. Some are interdimensional beings traveling here from some other plane of existence. Some may be extraterrestrial, some may be time travelers. So, Matthew, I hate to say this, but there's a lot of different type of shadow people.
I know exactly. So, all right, I just wanted to go with because she's a listener of your show. I figured if we get your definition, then that will be likely her definition and understanding as well. So
good thinking.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
We'll put it back up here. So
thank you.
If people have their own interpretation color, where does that place shadow people? Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So we're looking at a different thing other than an aura, right? So with shadow people, they're not exactly here. like we are. They also, I think, in a sense, are not fully manifested. So an aura is something that is fully manifested. When we look at what darkness is or what shadow is, it's something that's yet to come to consciousness. It's yet to come to full awareness or full actualization. And so I think until it does, it would kind of show up as a void. That would be my best guess. And that is truly just a guess. There may be somebody better to answer that than me, but I would say they're not fully actualized. They haven't fully come to consciousness at a third dimensional or even necessarily fourth dimensional level. And so they will show up as a void.
So when you
Fair
connect
enough.
with someone who's crossed over, like if you're doing a reading for someone and you contact with, Nana or somebody, would she have an aura or give off some sort of color also?
Yeah, absolutely. I see spirits as color. I actually never see what they look like, almost never. Yeah,
interesting.
and so they will show me whatever color they need to show me to bring the message through. So, for example, if they were somebody who was like an angry jerk, all the time, they would show me colors that would present that. Because at the end of the day, with mediumship, at least evidential mediumship, is I need to bring through things about who that person was on Earth and details about their life that I couldn't possibly know, so that sitter can say, yes, that is, Uncle Bob or Grandma Joe or whoever. So they will show me what they need to show me for me to be able to express who they were on Earth, so the person can validate who they are. After that, the colors kind of fade, and the rest of it is just, claircognizant, clairaudient, clairvoyant messages. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I have another interesting question here. This is from Fuzzy What. Can energy auras look white, or do you always see in different colors?
I always see them in different colors, but I think, it depends again on the person. For me, when I see white in an aura, that's a high vibrational color. That's a connection with spirit. That's somebody who's also a medium. It always shows up around mediums for me. But yeah, I think it really depends on the person that's viewing it. Can they be white? Of course. Are they always white for me? No, definitely not. I usually see between 5 and 20 colors in an aura for somebody. Yeah.
Can you tell what color Mike's aura is?
Yeah. He's got a really cool aura. There's actually a lot of electric blue in his aura, and to me, it's just about what he does. I mean, it's major communication, but blue always has an element of healing with it. It always has an element of bringing things to somebody's awareness. So I'm not really surprised that he's an author and this awesome host. The other thing that's interesting in his aura is he's got a lot of brightness over his solar plexus. So by the way, Mike, are you comfortable with this? I didn't even ask.
Oh, sorry.
I'm totally fine.
Like
totally
such a bad medium. Oh my God. I'm doing exactly what I tell people never to do. So there's a lot of energy brewing over your solar plexus, which is really positive. So you're actually about to get a major life breakthrough. And it's going to show up, I would say, based on what I can see, around the month of May. And I'm going to go with around the 5th, 6th, 7th of May. So in that time frame, you're going to have some major work stuff moving forward for you. And I think part of it will come from within you as an idea, but also it will be met with opportunities over the summer. It looks really good. I mean, that's a very, very super basic aura reading, but it looks good.
I wrote that
fantastic.
one down. I'll remind you.
Sorry, one last thing. I also, just in the corner of your aura, I can see red, which is anxiety, but it isn't yours. You're picking this up from somebody that is connected to you. And I feel like this is a female energy who's alive on Earth. And I feel like she's very empathic. She's got a huge heart. She's very loving. And in December, I can feel that she had some issues with her own life purpose. Like she knows what she's here for, but she didn't really know what to do with it anymore. And there was this moment of internal crisis, but now I feel like it's settling out. So you're actually transmuting some of this anxiety for her, which is really cool. Yeah. So you've got some healing elements in there. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for that. Let me ask you this, because I've done the aura photographs before. Do you believe that those actually work?
Yeah. I think they do. I think that they're not really the best vision of an aura. I mean, Kirlian photography has been around forever, and basically, it's biofeedback, especially the ones now, especially their biofeedback. Do I think that it's, I don't think it's specific enough, but I'm a stickler for detail. So, I mean, do I think it's accurate? Yes, I do. But do I think that it could be, cooler somehow, like in the future? I hope so.
Okay. No, it's. I just had to ask because one of them that I had done some years ago actually did have the blue in there. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
kind of interesting.
That is cool.
We had a couple other questions in here, so let me try to grab those. Unless, Victoria, you have something offhand.
Usually I do.
You do. You usually have a ton of questions, and I'm just kind of sitting back.
Well, being polite, trying. What do you think about the awakening, moving from the 3 to 5D? Because I try very hard to live in the 5D, but sometimes those people just pull me back down.
Oh man, you've opened a can of worms, Victoria. Here goes the rest of the interview right now. I'm just kidding.
I'm home, so go ahead.
So here's the thing. So yes, we are ascending as a humanity, as a world, as a universe, all that. But that's not new. I mean, we're constantly working up this spiral of ascension, and we are. For sure, right now in this moment, we are in a time where it's kicked up a notch. And if you look back, every 100 to 120 years, major things happen in the earth plane. Everything falls apart. There's an element of reconstruction, rebuilding, and it always is just a little bit better every time. That's examples of mass ascension that has happened throughout history. I think that the idea, are we ever going to shed our bodies and be floating light beings? No. Moving into higher vibration means that we embrace deeper values like love and compassion and kindness and togetherness, and things like ego control and manipulation, all that begin to fall off. In that process, there's an ego death period, and that happens both individually but also at a global level. And an ego death comes in the moment where the person or the society is struggling to grasp for control at a maximum level, because the fear of change is so profoundly strong. We have seen that happening over the last year, politically, socially, health-wise, all of that along the planet. Now, do I think that's going to lead us into a place of shedding our physical bodies as a mass group of people? No, I don't think so. I think what we can hope for with this ascension process is that we just become more loving and a more accepting and well-rounded society. That's probably not as exciting, but that's what I see. No. That's what I believe will happen.
Honestly, I love that explanation, because it not knocking on anybody specifically, but I've seen so much out on the internet in the last several months of everybody talking about, I'm 5D ascending, I'm woke, I'm this, and it's like almost they're taking an air about themselves. I'm becoming this like super floaty person.
Yeah, like totally. And that's the part that freaks me out about it. It's the same when somebody says, "Oh, I don't talk to them, they're low vibrational." I'm like, "Okay, but really, like what is this division about? Because that's not particularly high vibrational in my mind." And I think that people on a spiritual path are always looking, forward, upward, and trying to simultaneously trying to stay in the moment, because mindfulness is the other big spiritual thing, right? And so, it's a challenge to navigate all of these things. And even though I'm kind of joking about it, I'm truly not judging anybody for their beliefs. But yeah, anything that creates a sense of division or hierarchies among people, those are the things that are going to fall off. But in order for them to fall off, they have to surface. And so we're going to see over the next year or 2 or even 3 years, a lot of people hit that sort of mindset of, oh, I'm, woke, or I'm ascending, or I'm whatever. That's part of their falling and breaking process. And that's just a necessary part of who they are. When we can fully surrender, we are not going to see differences between us and the low vibrational person, or us and the person who doesn't do yoga and doesn't smell like kale or whatever. We're not going to see those differences when we truly surrender that ego at the height of that ego death. Then we just see things for what they are, and actually we become more accepting of other people in a very beautiful way. So yeah, I think that this might be the calm before the storm in those cases,
or the eye of the hurricane,
eye of the hurricane. I like that even better. Yeah,
down here in the South. Speaking of being awoke, I mean, if you want to call it that, about 2016, so whatever, do the math. I have a fine arts degree, I don't do math. However many years ago that was, I woke up, and people now are, I'm awake, like you said, but when I woke up, I was just like, oh, okay, I needed more kind and loving, and hey, little kitty, come on, you want to come live with me?
Yeah.
That's how we have so many cats now. But,
Even though
I want to come visit you.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
oh my God. I'm not kidding. I was telling Mike a couple of weeks ago, I opened the door and they come running up, I
That's
was like,
beautiful.
hello.
I love that.
But now I forgot my question.
Oh no.
I'll come back to it.
It was 2016. You started collecting cats, and you didn't have the woke feeling. I think that's where you were
I
headed.
woke up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. I'll come back to it, circle around. And I didn't hear about this term called light worker until a couple of years ago. And I was like, hey, that's really what it is because you're going around and you're like, hey, don't be so negative, okay, yeah, we may not have a job next week, but look at today. Today you had a damn good sandwich for lunch.
Yeah.
So just be happy,
Yeah, and I think that's an incredibly beautiful thing. And I think the kind of awakening you're talking about, I think true awakenings, like there is an element where it's this, mind-blowing, earth-shattering thing in moments, but the overarching, aspect of an awakening really is more subtle, and it's exactly what you're talking about. It's a awakening of the higher heart. We have our heart chakra, which is our emotions and our
Right.
empathy and all that. We also have a higher heart, which is our path of service. It's our ability to see the us within
Exactly.
other people and or animals or cats in your case. And so yeah, I mean I think it's beautiful. I think that's exactly what awakening looks like. Yeah, it's amazing.
I have so many friends now running around. I'm awake. I'm an empath. I'm like, yeah. Well, what you doing with it?
Yeah, and they very well might be all of those things, but
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, but I think you are right. Like part of awakening is being called to service in some way, even if it's not in a super official way. It may just be that you begin holding the door for people when you didn't before, or whatever. All of those things are service.
Yeah.
And the purpose of service is to raise vibration, to raise consciousness. All that means is bringing people into the moment of awareness, and that moment has love within it. That's all service really truly is, if you think about
Right.
it. And bringing them into alignment with what they need, because they will always get what they need. What they want may be different, but when you can bring what you want and what you need into alignment with each other, you have a very abundant life because you don't want for anything.
Yeah.
And I think service is bringing those kinds of concepts into the world, and all of those things heal individually, but also at a humanity level.
Yeah, I had a friend who she lost a dog today, and she lost another one about 2 months ago. I'm like, who's reaching out to her?
Yeah. Well,
Nobody.
I think.
So
Yeah.
Well, did you?
I did. I said,
Good.
Rob Goutreau wrote a book.
That's right. You
here's
told
the
me that
link.
you
Yeah.
referred her to Rob. Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I'm so sorry for your loss, and it's more than just, hey, a dog died. This is part of your family. This is your soul connection. Yeah.
I wrote a post today on Facebook, on my Facebook page, talking about just that, specifically like grieving with animals, because I asked Spirit once, why certain people, or why many people, I shouldn't say certain people, why many people grieve the loss of their pets so profoundly, and Spirit told me, well, think about it. They said, Matthew, listen, you have to learn to communicate with animals in a completely different way. You touch your animals more than you touch people. They are there for you unconditionally, without judgment, no matter what crappy decision you made at work, or who broke your heart, or whatever, they're there. And so it makes sense to me. We have to work in a sense differently with animals, but it's in a much more free flowing way. And so when that disappears from the earth plane, I mean, that would rock anybody. They're our rock on earth.
Oh yeah. It's like, get out of the middle of my bed, scoot over.
Yeah, totally. It's beautiful though. I love animals.
Yeah. Do you think, one more question?
Sure.
Do you think animals could be part of your soul tribe? Because I have
Totally.
felt really, really connected to certain dogs. I mean, more so than people I was married to.
Yeah, I totally think so. I mean, if you think about like when we talk about a soul tribe, we're talking about obviously a group of souls that come together for a common purpose, whether that purpose is to all do one thing, or whether it's to support each other in doing whatever we're meant to do. Yeah, so absolutely. I believe if somebody's, only thing that they love in the whole world is a potted cactus, then that's part of their soul tribe. If that supports them in living their purpose, that's part of that soul connection. So absolutely, of course they are.
Yeah. because now that I think about it, I kept the dog longer than the husband, but Lord, so it's not like I really missed it. Anyway,
Sounds like an awesome dog.
it was a pug,
Yeah.
Oh God, they're so cute. I love pugs.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Fun.
amazing.
not my
Let me
dog.
grab another question here from the chat. This is from Sarah Yusuf. Does a person have to have a deep understanding of emotion in order to sympathetically connect to spirit or higher vibrations?
I don't think so. No, because when we think of things like love and all of those higher consciousness things, love, compassion, all of that, most people process those as an emotional thing, but they don't have to be. I'll give you an example. I'm not particularly empathetic as a person, but I'm very sympathetic. Empathetic is more of the heart. Sympathetic is often of the mind. And so I may not be able to feel what somebody's going through if I'm putting myself in their shoes, but I can feel or think about how terrible that must be, and I can still connect to spirit. So do you have to be super emotionally aware? No. If you're, somebody who's a little bit on the colder side, you can still connect. It's just going to be in a different way. The main thing is that the intention is love, whether that's love that you think about or love that you feel, or love that you just know. All of those things are valid. So you don't have to be super emotional as a person in order to build that connection. You just have to be centered within the idea of compassion.
So would a colder person have the spirit cactus in their soul tribe?
I mean, I have like it's not a cactus, but it's like a rosemary plant like over there.
They're awesome. Rosemary,
Yeah.
they're good. They keep
They're-
mosquitoes away.
They're so beautiful too.
Oh, yeah.
No, I don't necessarily think so. Like, for example, I can be a little bit distant and cold, and the one on my phone at the bar. But I'm also surrounded by amazingly loving people. Like, my partner is one of the kindest, most romantic people on the planet. Somehow we work. I don't know how, but we do. And so. I don't think that I would only have a cactus, even though I can be a little bit distant and weird. I think that we're brought whatever complements us within our path as well, whatever can augment our vibration in a sense.
I saw your Instagram where you were doing the cookie dough. That's awesome. I love that.
the ghost thing.
Have you seen it, Mike?
That was so funny.
Oh, Mike, you need to check it out.
Well,
I'll have to check out the Instagram.
Yeah,
we were making cookies, and then we were like, "Oh, let's do this and make people laugh."
like the movie Ghost. They were making cookie
Oh,
dough.
okay. So instead of the clay, it was cookies.
It's cookie dough.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cute.
It was awesome. I loved that.
It was funny.
I was like, what did he do? Oh, cookies.
Cookies.
Oh, we're not
That's
supposed to
really
talk about
cute.
cookies. Trademark.
Oh, geez. Yeah, right. All right. Well, I want to, bring us back a little bit to Psychic Awakenings, because that is
Sure.
your event that you have coming up this weekend with Jonny. And actually, I do have the poster here, so people can check that out. So Psychic Awakenings, a Zoom workshop, and the link is right there. And also, we do have it down in the description of the YouTube video here. And I know Alina and Nicole were posting that in the chat as well. So, let me ask you this, Matthew. Given the premise of this, and you're working with a guy like Jonny, do you yourself go out to like some of these different ancient sites of power and like tap into the earth energy and try to use that either for healing purposes, or maybe tap into other states of consciousness? How do you work with that type of energy?
Yeah. No. So
No. Okay.
quick answer. But I will put an addendum on that. I do work with sacred sites, but not necessarily the big ones.
Okay.
I find those things like literally everywhere. Like there's a place down the street from where I live, and it's just like this creepy looking basketball court surrounded by trees, and there's like broken things there. Anyway, from the outside, it looks absolutely bizarre, and like you just don't want to go there. You're not sure if you're coming back, kind of thing. But one day I decided to walk in there. I just thought, why not? And I walked in there, and I realized the energy was so phenomenal. Like, because nobody goes there, it was so phenomenal, and I could feel this, vortex like energy there, and it was beautiful. And so I prefer, like, like the small town sacred sites that no one necessarily knows about, just finding those natural currents within our everyday life. That's honestly more my focus, but I think that the big sacred sites are amazing. I've just never been super drawn to them myself, but I also don't like traveling, so that might be why.
No, fair enough, but go ahead.
Oh, couldn't you find a sacred site anywhere? Like when we go to the beach, or when I go to the beach, and just sit there and listen to the ocean coming back and forth. One time I was there and I closed my eyes and I just had this feeling somebody was looking at me. And when I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by seagulls and we were all pointing the same direction.
See, that, like, you're speaking my language. Like, that's what I look for. So yeah, like 100%. I mean, I think that what defines sacred, and is it something truly global, or is it something truly personal? I think it's both. So like you, Victoria, I would much rather go have an experience at the beach with some seagulls than I would to go to the Great Pyramids, personally. Personally.
Oh, I know.
but I think it really depends on what our view of sacred is. If sacred is those beautiful synchronicities that happen in everyday life, then that may be more profound to somebody like me than going to see, like an ancient historical site. Other people might be more drawn to the ancient historical site, and there isn't one that's better than the other. I don't think, they're just different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times with those, ancient historic sites, they were, trying to tap into that energy that was there and
Totally.
kind of make it like
Yeah.
a, bigger, more grand scale. So taking, that moment with the seagulls, but amplifying it on, such a bigger scale. I think that's what they were trying to do. But I think there are certainly, plenty of people that would prefer the smaller setting.
Yeah, totally. And it's interesting because those sites are built a lot of the time over giant
Mhm.
vortexes of energy. But the thing that I've noticed about vortexes, because it's something that I've looked at a lot over the years, is that vortexes change. They can move. I mean, I'm pretty sure the reason the sacred sites are built on those vortexes is because they've been there forever. But I've seen vortexes pop in and out of different locations as well. And what I understand vortexes to be, in my own personal research of them, is that they're just vent systems for the Earth. I mean, they open and close. Sometimes they'll be there for minutes, sometimes for thousands of years. But they're just a way of energy shifting from one part of the Earth to the other.
If
Yeah,
people were to, like,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, if people were, like, say they go to the pyramids, Mike, or something, would they not also be bringing their energy there and contributing to the vortex,
Hmm.
the energy field?
Yeah, absolutely. You bring your own energy in there. You bring your own resonance, and I've heard all kinds of interesting stories about being in a place like the pyramids, and um, we had Freddie Silva on before, and Matthew, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Freddie, but he had a group inside the pyramid one time, and they had a moment there where I guess the power went out to the lights,
Oh, cool.
and they, in a circle were, putting forth their energy, and as they were doing this, the light beams were coming out of the walls,
Oh,
which is really
wow.
interesting. So they were, using their energy to, make this amazing setting, and for other beings to suddenly emerge is just a phenomenal story.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? Because a vortex is a disturbance of energy, but it's often a higher vibrational energy, and so it actually makes sense. It's a place that allows manifestation to happen a lot more easily. The same would be seen if you were working with, like, a physical medium, somebody who can produce physical phenomena. Their energy field is capable of allowing things to manifest in it with greater ease, in sort of a 3D, 4D kind of way. I think the sacred sites have a very similar energy to that, at a much bigger level, of course. But yeah, it's cool. And the other thing with sacred sites is I believe that we can also receive, adjustments and healing within our own energy field at them because of resonance. When we align ourselves with something, we begin to resonate at a similar frequency to whatever it is that we're aligning ourselves with. And so I could totally see, why these amazing places have history of tons of those experiences happening. It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to grab a couple more questions here from the
Sure.
chat before we wrap things up, because we are getting down toward the end of the show.
No problem.
Yeah, it goes by quick.
It does.
When are we expanding to 2 hours? Okay. Next.
You know what happened last time. So this is from Christine Louvier. How does one know how gifted one is? Like, what kind of gift does one have?
So, this is a very good question. So really, it's just through exploration. I mean, there isn't really like a test you can take per se to figure it out. I mean, sure, there probably is some quizzes or something, but it's really through experiencing it. It's really through trying different things and seeing what you're fluid with and fluent in. I mean, ultimately, for example, with mediumship or psychic reading, you want to read somebody you don't know anything about and see how much of it makes sense. I mean, that will tell you whether or not you have an aptitude for it. Healing very much the same way, bringing healing to people and things like that. Is there a way to really quantify it? Not necessarily in one moment. No. Over time, you can see through experiencing it that, you know, you have a certain draw to different things. But honestly, the learning is in the doing. I really believe a hands-on approach is the best possible way to do that.
By the way, Christine's a friend of mine, and she's an awesome medium. She
Oh,
believe
cool.
me.
Oh, fantastic.
She doesn't believe me, but
And what about for the person that they don't believe that they have any gifts, that, you know, they find the field fascinating, they look at, you know, things that are supernatural, paranormal in nature, they look at somebody with psychic abilities and they're sitting there, oh, that's awesome. I wish I could do something like that. But I mean, personally, I believe everybody has a little bit of something
Yeah,
going on.
I
What do you
agree.
think, Matthew?
I'm in agreement with you, Mike. I think, you know, we're all in constant communication with the universe. Like every cell in our body has that spark of God or that spark of light or the spark of the soul, whatever you want to call it. Every cell within our body has that. And we are in constant communication with the universe. And so the only difference between somebody who is actively bringing information through consciously and somebody who isn't is that the person who's doing it consciously either was born with or has learned to tune into that conversation. And that's the only difference. And so because we are all consistently and constantly receiving and conversing at a subconscious level, I believe for that fact alone, everybody can learn to do it. And it may be easier for some people than others, but everybody can learn to do it in some way for sure.
can I flip the script on that? How do you turn it off?
You go ahead.
Turn
Oh,
it
God.
off. How do you
When you find out, let me know. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I had somebody around me was singing Rosemary Clooney, "Come On Over to My House" the other night, and it just would not
wow.
get out of my head. You know,
So there's two different ways to look at that. So one sort of component, especially with visitations and things like that, or messages coming through, is that they're always purpose-based, and until that purpose is realized on some level, it will be persistent. That's one way of looking at it. Now, the other way of looking at it is that we all deserve boundaries within our life, with, you know, between us and other people, between us and the spirit world and all of that. And so a lot of that is just assertiveness and saying, listen, like 9 to 5, guys, 9 to 5, that's it.
wait, does that really work?
Things like that. Yeah, actually, it actually does. Yes.
You can set hours?
boundaries.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's what I had to do years ago. Yeah, because I would wake up in the middle of the night and just have shadows and like auras of light, like literally surrounding me all the time. And I had to get very assertive and say, listen, you know, I will do my best to help people, but I need my own space. The other thing that I did, because I would get spirits coming up to me random places, even when there was nobody around, like there would be nobody for me to deliver the message to in sight. And I would just tell them, listen, I can't go and find your loved ones for you. You need to bring them to me if you want me to help them, or go find another medium. But, you know, I can't go looking for your loved ones on earth. I'm happy to help them if they come to me, though. And I had a crazy thing happen with that, actually. Really crazy, if you want to hear about it.
What happened? Yeah.
Okay,
Let's hear,
so
you brought it up. Let's hear the story.
all right, super quick story. So I was across the street from an apartment building, and there was a shooting in the lobby of that apartment building. I immediately saw the spirit go off into the light, and he showed right back up in front of me, and he said, you need to tell my girlfriend this, and this. And I said, yeah, like I can't go find her. I'm happy to help, bring her to me. Almost a year later, a girl came into my office. I was doing a reading for her. I felt an energy come forward that I knew was familiar, but I couldn't place it. He came forward, gave all the messages. At the end, she said he died across the street because it was the apartment building across the street from me at the time.
Oh,
yeah. So he did bring her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you ever have like random spirits pop up and say, hey, just because they know you could hear them?
Yeah, it has happened before. Yeah, and sometimes I will write it down and put it on my Facebook page, and usually within half an hour, somebody said that's for me. It honestly doesn't happen very often. It's so unusual because I have, again, the strong, firm boundaries with the spirit world.
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
9 to 5. There you go.
This medium is out.
Yes. So no vacancy. Yeah.
Another question here from the chat room, Sir Yusuf. Does personal resonance lead to gifts and abilities?
So, so if you, all resonance is the ability for one plane of consciousness to begin to vibrate similarly to a different plane of consciousness. So the idea of personal resonance, I mean, that can change every 4 seconds depending on where your awareness is in the world around you. But if you're trying to resonate with higher realms of consciousness, yes, I believe that will increase gifts and abilities for sure.
Okay. Makes sense. Matthew, we're getting down toward the end of the show here. I want to give a little bit of time here for you to talk about, of course, the event this weekend, but also talk about, your work, where people can find you, and all the amazing things that you are currently doing.
Sure. So workshop this weekend. It is Sunday, 2:00. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited to be working with Jonny, and we've got some good people signed up for it. It's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the West Coast time, 2 p.m. in Eastern time where I am. It's going to be a very well-rounded workshop. If you're interested in psychic phenomena, if you're interested in cool theory of energy and quantum physics and all that good stuff, and you want to learn techniques to develop your abilities, join us. I think it's going to be a good time. In terms of what I do, I do readings for people,
right.
and I enjoy the readings for sure. But my true passion, honestly, is all the things I do for free. It really is. So I do free live readings, pretty much every Monday night. I do craft and chat night on Fridays, where we just talk about pretty much everything under the sun. Some of it's inappropriate humor, disclaimer. But we do fun crafts together and we chat on a Facebook Live there. I write posts, I, teach classes and all of that. And really the only thing that I charge for are classes and one-on-one readings. But, we have a great community happening over on Facebook. Truly a piece of my heart. Those people are phenomenal. And, if you are into this sort of weird stuff, you're welcome to join us.
Yeah, I was checking out some of your videos there on Facebook. So that's primarily where people can find you, is on the Facebook page?
For sure. And I have a website and I make card decks and sell them and stuff like that. But really, if you want to do something cool, just come to Facebook. I mean, it's all there anyway.
So in the Facebook page is Matthew Stapley, right?
Matthew Stapley Psychic Medium, or @ Canadian Psychic. I also have Instagram, which I use most of the time, and I have TikTok, which is really fun, and I just started playing around with it.
Yeah, and I see Nicole's put the here. We'll put it up on the screen. There you go. Facebook.com/Canadian Psychic. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
So, all right. Yeah, TikTok is definitely a lot of fun. I started playing around with that a little while back, and I was doing the ghost stories and things like that.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, I think that it's not just the kids goofing around. We can use the platform for a lot of other things with what we're doing too.
Absolutely. I should really make mine more serious. Now that I've heard what you're doing, I feel like I'm slacking off. I did one that was if psychics used famous movie lines in their readings. So I think I need to up it to maybe something a little more useful.
No, we need more C share.
And here is the link for Psychic Awakenings. Thank you, Alina, for posting that.
Thank you, Alina.
Yeah. So you have a lot going on. I'm definitely looking forward to the Psychic Awakenings this coming weekend. So people get on that link and join Matthew and Jonny for that. That's gonna be really interesting.
I'm looking forward to it. I love teaching. It's cool because everyone learns so differently, and we all have our own purpose for being here. Like I said, you can do any job you want. Really, your purpose is energetic, but seeing how that translates into people learning to use their gifts is always something that I find fascinating because it is so different for every person. And that's one of my favorite things about teaching these workshops for sure.
Awesome. And there is a comment here from Erica Manalakos.
Yes.
Matthew's
Aw.
Oracle decks are amazing.
Thanks, Erica. I appreciate that. I have fun making them.
Is that what you do on the craft nights?
No, I couldn't do that. No, I do we made a sock puppet last Friday.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it's just like simple crafts, but I think it's really an excuse to talk, to be honest. But it is, we have a good time for sure.
That sounds fun.
That's great.
You have to
I
join
have
us.
to check that
You
out.
have to join us. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
it is. Yeah, and
All right.
everyone's super, super nice.
BYOB?
Yeah, BYOB, BYOC, BYOH, humor, I guess. Yeah, not hookers, humor. Yeah.
Please tell me C is not for cat, please.
Craft is what I was thinking.
Craft. Okay.
You can bring your cats. I'm super cool with that.
They're,
Yeah,
they're not my cats.
the ones you borrow.
They just come. I mean, yeah.
You're the cat
Yeah,
woman.
they live there, but they're not hers. So go figure that.
No, I mean, when we lost power last week, they were all in my room. I'm so allergic to them. It was just,
Aw, well, they clearly see your light. There's clearly a resonance, and what cats symbolize is really cool. So if you don't already know,
no.
yeah. So cats are very smart. They walk between worlds, which is very cool. They can be symbolic of deception and things like that, but I don't really see that in them. But they're very mystical, and I think that it makes sense for who you are as a person. I think it does.
Yeah. Yeah. They sit outside my door. I open them and I'm like, well, the house has to be tilting because why are they up down here?
That's so cool. Yeah, that's like me with blue jays. They come and sit in my hand outside.
How do you feel about squirrels? Just kidding. No.
I love squirrels. They sit in my lap all summer. That's all I do in the morning is sit there with squirrels in my lap and blue jays in my hands all summer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You need to come down here. We'll do the seagulls.
That would be so
There
fun.
you go.
That would
Come
be
on,
so
Mike.
fun. I'm down for that.
All right, we'll do it.
Okay.
All right, Matthew. Again, really appreciate you joining us on the show.
Thank
this
you
evening.
for having
Everybody
me.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, check him out on Facebook and, of course, Psychic Awakenings this weekend. Matthew Stapley, everybody. Thank you very much. Pleasure meeting you.
It was nice
Thank
to meet
you.
too.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great
Definitely.
night.
You too.
Yeah, another one for the
All right.
squirrel group. No.
Yeah, another one for the
Yeah.
squirrel group. That was fun. He's a
fun.
good guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, let's get to the shout outs and everything. Where I need to be able to find it.
I didn't get to see the chat tonight. The chat was streaming through here last week, but
Oh, yeah, that. See, this
Oh,
is all
wait.
different now because we're using a different platform, and so it's like I need to find
there you are.
everything.
I didn't click the button.
Oh,
Apparently, you
okay.
can do private chats on here. I don't know.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a little button over there for it.
Okay.
So
now I
yeah, I
see
want to
it.
get to the shout outs for everybody. Okay, well, in the meantime, while I'm trying to figure out where that is, here's the for next week we have Rob Guttrow joining us to talk about shadow pets. And so that'll be interesting. So he
will.
contributed some more to the second edition of A Walk in the Shadow. So we're going to be talking about that edition there. And okay, I think I finally found it. There we go. Okay. All right. So for the shout outs, let's get to the participants tab because I had to get back to, and there's nobody in the participants tab. You got to be kidding me. Come on now. Thank
Well,
you, YouTube.
I see Jill and Helen.
Yeah. Well, I do want to thank. Yeah, I do want to thank Alina for moderating the chat and sending me the questions. Appreciate that. And then, of course, there is Nicole, Guiding Echoes, down in the chat.
Oh,
Still
happy
did not-
birthday, Nick. Sorry. Nick's
Yeah,
birthday's
Nick
tomorrow.
Boulay is in the house. Yeah, happy
Yeah.
birthday, Nick. Auntie Coco, thanks for joining us this evening. There's Betty Lange, grand old folks. Jennifer Bloomer, thank you as well. Erica Manalakos, thanks for joining us this evening. Nisaba, thank you for joining us. There's Robert Hanna, Katie Palmer, transposing names here. Fuzzy What, thanks for joining us this evening. There's Brenda Bound and Mr. CO2. Sarah Youssef, thank you for all the questions. There's EEQQ. Let's see who else is here. I have to scroll up a little bit here. Pretty sure Haunted Media's favorite queen, Diane Hilbert, was probably in the house at some point. So we'll say hello to her. Tanya Sargissian, thanks for joining us this evening. Christine Louviere, thanks for joining us. There's also, let's see, as I scroll through here. I think I got all of these. Tammy Heitzman, thank you. Empath Medium, thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, the chat's kind of scrolling by fast here. Donna Liska, thanks for joining us once again. There's Candy Orton. Hey, good to see you. Sarah Parker, thank you for joining us. And yeah, see, there's Diane Hilbert. Debbie 08, thank you. And all right, I'm going to scroll back down. That is just screaming by. Wow, Ren Oak, thank you for joining us. All right. Joe Nimchinsky, thank you as well. I think is that going to be it for now? Helen Espinoza. A lot of people in the chat this evening. Absolutely appreciate that. And Matthew is such a fun guy.
He is. He's energy.
Yeah, really
energy.
great energy. Geez. Yep. Adam Tillery's in the house, lurking over there, of course. All right. So, yeah. So I guess that is going to do it. Yeah, we have Rob next week. We had Matthew tonight. And we have a lot of great people on tap for the next couple of months here. So be sure to stick with us. Tune in, Edge of the Rabbit Hole here on YouTube. Of course, podcasts will go up later this week. Tomorrow on Beyond the Shadows, we're going to be talking about the simulated universe. We're going to get deep into that. Yeah, I haven't talked about that for a little while on Beyond the Shadows. So you can get to that for the live stream through the Connected Universe portal, connecteduniverseportal.com for that. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun over there. I've been having a good time in the chat over there on Wednesdays.
Yeah, it has been pretty fun over there. So yeah, we got a nice little community there. And, Connected Universe Portal is something that we just put up there, about a month ago now.
It's growing.
It is growing. It has been really fun. And I started the Mike's Morning Mug videos again. Those have been fun to do. So,
are they on TikTok?
Got my coffee and, no.
I don't know anything about TikTok. I don't know what this is.
I haven't been putting those on TikTok. No, the TikTok has been the ghost stories and all of that.
Oh, okay.
And, no, what I have been doing is like grabbing clips of Beyond the Shadows from the live stream and tossing those up to kind of give people a little sample of what we've been doing out there on Connected Universe. So, yeah.
Just remember, connect the dots. Connected Universe.
Connect the dots. See, instead of a coloring book, now she wants to do connect the dots. So,
what's really fun is to do them backwards. From the big number down to the little.
There you go.
A little bit harder, but a little bit more fun.
You're funny. All right, everybody. It's been fun. We will catch you. We'll see some of you tomorrow. We'll see you all again next week. Check out Matthew and Johnny's event this coming weekend. Psychic Awakenings is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'll put that back on the screen here one more time so you guys can get that link. I know Lena was putting that link down in the description, or she was putting it in the chat. I have it in the description. And definitely check this out. This is going to be a great event.
That sounds really cool.
For the podcast listeners later, get your pens out real quick. bit.ly/3QF capital E JW capital L. So there you go. I'll say it again. bit.ly/3QF capital E JW capital L. That's for the podcast listeners later. All right. It's one of those URL shorteners.
Computers. I don't. Okay.
All right. All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, Mike.
Victoria, thanks again.
Bye, Mike.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
See ya.